Nice pitch.
Anyway.
Alright.
So this is the SmashCast.
We
Today,
got,
we have a new topic. Although we didn't upload our last video, since I guess this is our first.
Oh, we did. It's uploaded. You can watch the hour and a half of interesting discussion.
Just an hour.
Oh, it's only an hour.
Yeah, we got the last half hour corrupted.
Yeah.
Hey, that's why it's on the series.
Quality.
Oh, you did
Yeah,
put it in
yeah,
color?
I
Alright,
did put it in
cool.
color, yeah. Anyway, today we got Hunter,
Billy.
Tom.
Bobby.
David.
and we're going to be focusing on gun policies in America today.
Due to recent events.
Due to recent events. I think I want to throw out this statement, and I want to see if everybody agrees with me.
Sorry.
The shooting that happened in Florida was a tragic event. Does anybody deny that or has other
Billy, put your hand down.
Put your hand.
You son of a bitch.
That's okay. So we're all on the same page.
We all agree. It's tragic.
That
Yeah.
it was a tragic
What's your
event.
point?
My point is that based on what we say today, I don't want people being like, oh well, they don't value the lives of children, yada yada. Depending on
Let me
Disclaimer.
Let me say
Yeah,
my
I'm
ass
just
before I
saying,
say something controversial.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're using the fact that the shooting just happened and that gun control is a hot topic as of now to talk about gun control on SmashCast because it's relevant.
Right.
Not because we're not trying to defend what the shooter did. We're not taking stances on anything about the shooting. We're just taking stances on gun control in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a hot topic now, which is what we're talking about.
Which is why I got brought up.
Spark conversation in our day-to-day goings, and we.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about it in general. So
Right,
like we're out in the world talking about it, and so now we're gonna talk about it amongst the people that we like talking to.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of people out in the world who just kind of suck.
Really true.
So, anybody want to start?
I just kind of want to see who actually is all for and against, like, gun control.
Are we doing
Go-
a preface?
go-
Go around in a circle and just say if you're
Preface.
for or against gun control.
Any?
Just to increase gun control.
All right, David.
Okay.
You're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
so give
increase-
us your baseline opinion.
I think there's more we can do. That's my baseline.
Okay. Specifically on regulating guns, or like in types of guns / access to.
I think that's something we can get into later.
Okay.
But basically, there's a
Okay. Okay.
across the board. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done.
Because like I would say yes, there's
There's
stuff
like,
that needs to be
yeah.
done, but I wouldn't say
like you
that
could say
it's-
mental health, or
Yeah, I
or,
wouldn't say that's all.
or increasing restrictions on certain firearms or certain firearm modifications, bump stocks.
Ooh, yikes. Yeah. All right. So
is there anybody better? I think the better question here is there anybody in the room who sees no need for any laws to change?
Me.
Interesting.
I.
You think things are completely fine the way they are?
Yeah, I do.
Zero change needed.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm not saying I'm not arguing the extent of the change. Do you think any change should be made at all?
okay, no. There's like very, very minor changes I can see being made.
Okay. All right.
But I don't agree with banning bump stocks because you can achieve the same exact thing with tying a string around your trigger finger and your thumb. It has the exact same effect.
for those who don't
For-
know what a bump stock is.
Yeah.
It uses the gun's recoil in order to pull the trigger again using your finger.
Yes.
So it's
that's cool.
It's just a
I was-
modified. It keeps a semi-auto function, but it simulates automatic fire because you're just using the recoil from the rifle to pull the trigger again.
So like an automatic rifle, it's built into the gun that it uses the energy from the bullet leaving the chamber to re-rack
Rechamber and shoot again.
So, a semi-automatic does the same thing. It uses that energy to re-rack, but if you're holding the trigger, it won't automatically fire that new bullet that's in the chamber. So you have to, your finger has to be moving when you're using a semi-automatic gun.
Yeah,
And all fully automatic rifles are illegal to purchase in the United States.
And that was after Columbine.
Okay, so me and Tom have both expressed opinion. Anybody else?
I would say I'm probably in what would be like referred to as like the common sense gun control camp. Just like I think there are changes that can be made that just makes some basic sense. I'm not entirely sure what kind of effect they'll have in terms of reducing number of tragedies, but there's situations in that can happen that I just think are kind of silly. Like the first of which kind of being like, why is it harder to get the ability to drive a car than it is to own a gun?
Is
Like,
it?
I would say so.
You have to pass mental health
alright.
tests to drive a car.
You don't have to pass a mental health test to fire a gun.
But you don't need to pass a
depends where.
background check to get a license. You just need to take a test.
In the state of New Hampshire, you can just be given a gun, though.
I'm assuming you have a driver's license, Bobby.
I do have a driver's license.
Do you have a gun permit and do you own a gun?
No.
Okay. Does anybody here have gun permits and own guns?
No.
Okay, well, we only have 2 people out of 21 that could legally purchase most guns.
18 to buy a rifle, 21 to buy a pistol.
Yeah. In Florida.
Yeah.
In Florida, you can buy a rifle before you can buy a pistol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which makes
that's
sense.
In most
yeah,
states, you can.
Connecticut's
That makes sense
too.
because you can
You can
carry a
conceal-
pistol.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. That I just need to clarify that for myself. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
My friend who went to the school last year concealed carries a pistol, so
On campus?
he's not at the school anymore.
Oh.
Also, I don't think he's
Yeah, that's-
legally allowed to carry a pistol on campus.
Not on
Oh,
campus.
that brings
this
us
is
up-
back home.
on-
Yeah, not on
that-
campus, but
No, yeah, this is back
Oh,
home.
okay.
But
Dude, alright, that brings.
Yeah.
Well, after George talks, I have something. Go ahead, George.
Oh, no, I have my opinion. My opinion is it's not realistic, but I think we don't need semi-auto guns in America. But with that said, it's impossible to get it back unless we do like an extreme buyback program.
Right.
And so I think we need really tighter legislation on it.
Okay.
Pistols fall under semi-auto guns.
Right.
Just saying.
Alright.
They're technically semi-automatic.
Yeah.
So the it was George. He said, "Oh yeah, purchasing and concealed carry. Do you think that there should be like gun-free zones, as like college campus? We're on a gun-free zone. You can't like conceal carry. Even it doesn't matter what the state law is. You still can't conceal carry
Ooh, I have an
in a
interesting,
gun-free
interesting
zone.
point to make about that. So I'm not sure necessarily what my opinion on gun-free zones is, but there's an argument being made that I really don't like. That people say that the reason that we see mass shootings happening in high schools is because high schools are a gun-free zone.
Right.
And these shooters are,
Aware
like, are taking advantage of that.
Right.
And the thing that I don't think people realize is the reason that that high school students are more prone to becoming school shooters is they're not developed people yet. Like their frontal lobe is not fully functioned until they're in their mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
They're not capable of making their best decisions yet.
On top of that, they're literally like they're in a point of their life where there's a lot of stuff that's like hormonally changing that causes a lot of.
Yeah, I think
But that being
stuff.
said, you're making the assumption that every school shooter is a high schooler, which Sandy Hook, was that man in high school? I don't think so.
No, he was an
He was
adult.
just
No, in this last one, it was the guy just graduated. He was 19.
yeah.
He hadn't graduated. He was kicked out.
How old was the guy from Sandy Hook?
Sandy Hook was in his mid-20s, early 30s.
I didn't know that. I thought it was a high school.
Adam-
No, he was not a high school.
Okay.
It was an elementary school
Adam
anyways.
Lanza?
Adam Lanza.
Okay, that's an ignorant standpoint.
Yeah.
I feel like the majority of them that I've heard about are students who are in the school, and I think that has more to do with the fact that they're young and dumb, and not that they're taking advantage. Because like if I get to a low place and I want to shoot a place up, I'm thinking first and foremost about the people that I want to kill, not the safest place for me to shoot people up.
Yikes.
Like if I got the
No,
point where I
no,
want to shoot
no,
people up,
I
I'm gonna
understand
shoot
what
up.
you
I'm gonna
mean,
shoot up
yeah.
the people at Florida Tech that I hate.
Yeah.
Like if that's where I'm at. Like full disclosure, I've never once legitimately considered that because it's insane to me.
Yes.
As it will be to just about everybody.
But that hits part of the
But like
most people that shoot up schools are not
Not
mentally sane.
yeah,
Right.
that's true.
In fact, I don't. There are probably very few people that are actually mentally sane that go shoot up places.
No, there's none.
I don't think there's an argument for it. In my I don't know how it's how it's psychologically defined, but in my opinion, if you're capable of doing that, you are not a mentally sane person.
But like certain religions, that is it's I don't want to say required, but like the 9/11 attacks, like they thought that was actually like.
Oh,
I would make the argument that practicing certain religions classifies you as an insane person.
Yikes.
That's a topic for a different time.
I don't mean. I mean.
No, I know.
Depending on how you practice it.
Right.
Like if you're just blanket, so like I like kind of cover my ass here. I'm not saying fuck all religion. I'm saying if your religion tells you to kill other people who are innocent by my standards, which means they haven't done anything, or you're insane. Like,
well,
and you view them as being not innocent just because they don't practice your religion.
not to defend them or to defend or like to spark an argument that's not on this topic.
Tangents.
But they do not. So like in the 9/11 attacks, us as Americans are not innocent because we are not Muslim.
So,
wait, what?
So yeah, that's kind of where the whole heat of the debate is. We're not innocent people. They don't think they're killing innocent people like they're killing infidels.
Yeah, and that's fine. I consider that person insane. I consider that dogma of morality to be insane.
Yeah, you used poor language when you described it because you said sane in my point of view or innocent in my point of view, whereas they don't think they're innocent. The way that I define innocence is you're not doing anything that's harming me or my loved ones, and I think it's ridiculous to think that because you believe something differently than me, that means you're harming me.
I don't think
that's fine coming from you, but
that's
the
what
way they're taught and the way they're brought up is that.
I consider that insanity.
I don't think morality is the same. Can be classified in the same context necessarily as just like your mental sanity. Because people can have totally different ideas of morality. But it doesn't necessarily mean. But
I think there are plenty. I think there are plenty of classically defined insane people who are living by their own morals. Like that's the thing. Like. So are we saying that the definition of insanity is you have a moral code that isn't respected by anyone?
All I know is we're not on topic anymore.
Yeah.
So we should probably reel it back in.
I think that was the most interesting portion of our conversation so far.
We just went down a rabbit hole that we don't need to go down.
All interesting stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yes. We should write this down.
Write it down.
Topic for the next debate.
All right. So
he's tenderizing.
Back to the main topic, gun control, and I mean we can keep talking about people's sanity when it comes to that, but we were going off on a religious tangent. So let's try to bring it back into the gun control debate.
What's your stance?
So I'm Billy.
Can we point out what you're wearing, Billy?
I'm currently wearing a shirt that says "Do not tread on me" and a hat that says Reagan Bush, 84.
I don't even know what
that
means.
Are you serious? Fuck you.
Why?
Right, so my standpoint on the whole gun debate.
Sorry, Billy.
If you're mad that I don't know about it, you should be talking about it. I guess if it matters that much.
You're making a facetious ass face, like.
No, because it's interesting. Like it's a point to everybody, and I literally have no idea what that is.
I mean, I have some sort of idea, but
I just know it's a snake.
Alright, so the don't tread on me flag, or better known as the Gadsden flag, is a Tea Party-esque flag where it's anti-federal. So it's just anti-government, libertarian stance. That's pretty much in its most basic form.
Okay.
It's anti-federalist.
All right. That's not
So I probably have a very unique view when it comes to the gun control debate.
Do tell.
And everybody in this room knows, but I don't think anybody else watching this video will probably know. I think we have too much gun control. I think banning certain guns is just silly. I don't think that helps. Am I for background checks? Yeah. But I'm still against a national registry of rifles or guns for that sense.
Yeah.
Because that was the reason for the Second Amendment in the first place. It's so that the government can't take control, whether it's tyrannical or not. It's so that they don't have a list of people who have guns and what they have, so that they can't go to house and do not a buyback program, but a take-back program.
Right. If the government knows what type of gun and what you have, they'll just bring
They know what
more
force to
people. Yeah, they'll bring more force and go to every house. I mean, that's a very hypothetical standpoint in the world we're living at right now. But I mean, I'm sure the people before World War II thought the same thing, that no, there's no way that a tyrannical government is gonna rise up and start killing everybody, and they didn't have weapons to protect themselves.
Yeah, but if the United States military is turned against the populace, we're fucked. It doesn't matter.
I don't think we are.
You
I
think
disagree.
we'd stand a
I
chance?
disagree.
I disagree because
That's interesting.
that's a very gross assumption that every member of the military would be a soulless bastard.
Yeah. You're assuming that the military would turn against the people.
The
premise of what I said was if the military turned against the populace would be fucked.
You're assuming the entire military of mostly 18-year-old kids.
It's a scenario. Under that scenario, we would be fucked.
Under the hypothetical that
whether it's a realistic hypothetical, that's a different conversation. But I think the hypothetical stands.
All right, Bobby. I
don't think
poke,
a hypothetical
wait,
stands in this argument.
No, because this is serious. I'll talk about this. Bobby, why would we be fucked?
Because our military is enormous.
Oh wait, because
their power is enormous.
Military has
do we have like numerical values that we can work with?
No, so like, would you argue that the military is better tech than the standard person?
Yeah.
And would you argue that
for military purposes, yeah. I mean, I've got a better computer than probably a lot of people who are in the military. Sure, maybe, I don't know.
I'm talking about weaponry.
But yeah, weaponry, their tech's definitely better.
Yeah. And would you
And
also
they're
agree
also
that
they're also trained to a higher extent than the average person by a long shot.
would you also agree with me on that it's wrong that the military has better tech than us, just because of the Second Amendment and how that would infringe on the Second Amendment if we are not, as citizens, allowed to have the same tech as the government? Then we are being infringed in our Second Amendment rights.
I don't think that's actually what the Second Amendment covers.
No?
No.
Why?
It just says it's the right of the people to keep and bear arms.
Yeah, an
So
unfringing
what are
right.
arms?
An unfringing right. Right? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So by limiting the kind of weaponry that we can get, the type of arms that we can get, is that not infringing upon the Second Amendment?
It is very much.
I don't think it is.
Why not?
I don't think, just it doesn't specifically say that the military can't have more power than the people.
Where does it say it can, though?
But,
It doesn't say either.
Right.
It just says that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And any type of arm that the citizen...
So you're saying in that case, so like every single citizen in the U.S. should have access to like nuclear missiles.
If you can make one, yeah, why not?
Really?
If you have the money to
I feel like
purchase
if you're
one.
smart enough to make a fucking nuke, you're smart enough to realize that that's stupid that you would have one.
Yeah, that's obviously an
That-
extreme case.
So
and
you
you're
say that,
using reductio ad
but
absurdum
like
to-
smart people made nukes, and we have a fuck ton of them, and we're not smart enough to.
Yeah,
you know, like
the smart
the government
people,
has nukes.
The smart people made them. The smart people aren't the one that have control over them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
using the
To go
nuclear
back to-
using the nuclear argument is also a reductio ad absurdum argument, which is arguing the extreme. So, I mean,
It's
that's
still
just,
an
that's
arm.
That's
It's
fair.
still,
It's still an
no,
arm.
you're right. It's still an arm.
I
but
want
it's
to
still,
go to extreme
you use-
because I want to like if you want to say you have the rights to
Violate
at
that,
all of these, then by saying that I have the right to bear a nuclear missile.
I mean, like,
Yeah,
because
you
that.
do.
I don't think you should.
That's fine, whether or not you think you should, but it's still an arm.
You fucking cocked everyone.
Because, like, I mean, like, if Elon Musk, this currently would be illegal, right? Like, he wouldn't be able to create his own nuke if he wanted to, or can he right now?
You probably could, but I don't know.
Just that. Oh, okay.
I want to go back to Bobby's point about you do not believe that the U.S. military, or you don't think that the civilians would have a chance of standing up against the military?
No.
All right, I just got some numbers to throw at you, and I want to hear your opinion.
Okay.
Ooh,
All right,
interesting.
so the United States Armed Forces has a at the end of 2017 had 1,281,900 service members. right? With an additional 800 people in the 7 reserve components, right? So 800,000 reserves, right?
Okay. So what are we at? Like around 2 mil?
Around 2 million. There were 13.7 million registered hunters last year, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
That's interesting.
So there are 3.7 million people from the age of 16 to however old you want to be when you want to hunt that were registered to hunt with a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd assume if you're hunting and you are carrying a license, you'd be a good enough shot to kill a deer or whatever you're hunting. You'd have a pretty good shot, right? So while they're not trained people, I still think that
they have a decent
million-
basic competence with the
yes,
rifle.
with the weapon.
Sure.
I still think the organization would be interesting of an army of 13 million people against the United States government, but I do believe that just in sheer numbers that we could stop any uprising.
I feel like
South-
military
South-
vehicles
South has
shred
more-
numbers.
More numbers than the boss.
Yeah.
Like our Air Force alone, like we don't even forget about sending ground troops. Our Air Force, you just come in and just bomb the shit out of everyone, and there's not a lot we could do about it.
Right, because the civilians don't have access to air missiles, do we?
Correct.
False.
False.
Well, maybe not
Wait.
missiles, but you can buy a fighter jet.
Can you really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
allowed.
buy a fighter jet.
And you can buy a
Really?
tank.
Interesting.
So
They
like,
just can't be weaponized.
Oh,
But-
well,
Alright, so you buy a tank, you run over some bitches, you
Well-
get some shells, and then you kill some more bitches.
well, all right,
mean-
no. So the argument for that would be it's black market.
Yeah.
You
If you have the money to buy a tank, you have the money to buy the shells.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, but I think like in the populace right now, so with civilians, there's almost no military vehicles that are armed compared to the military.
Right. Like our military would have more
And
more fighter jets.
I think it comes down a
more
lot.
pilots
I think the
to-
technology is
Right.
a huge difference.
Okay.
Like we have boats offshore, it's just with the ability to take out tons of people without even getting close. Like I'll leave nuclear out of the argument, but like
Okay.
Yeah, and then the only counter to that would be the more damage the U.S. military does to its own people, the less people it has to govern, kind of defeating the purpose of taking over the country
Right.
in that sense.
So like if we had a person rise to power, I mean, I think that the United States is set up in a way that is very hard for a tyrannical
so pretty much
government
my
to
argument
start
is
in the
I
first
don't
place.
think it will happen. I'm completely convinced
But
it
it's a
won't happen.
possibility that we have.
I think if it does happen, we're fucked and there's nothing we can do about it. So I think it's completely irrelevant.
So take away all the guns from everybody, so that
No,
so
that's
it-
not my argument.
So that's not gonna.
I just think the main point I'm trying to make my stance is I think the idea of the government becoming tyrannical and us needing to worry about that is
Yeah.
pointless because I think one, it won't happen, and
Okay.
if it does, there's nothing we could do.
Okay.
That's my stance.
I mean, I'm sure the
I'm
people
pretty
in-
sure everybody in the, communist China didn't think that shit would happen, and like
and
the Khmer Rouge, like they
imperialist
probably didn't think that would happen in
Japan.
Cambodia, and like everywhere else that it actually did happen. It's under the guise of this isn't going to happen, so it doesn't matter.
The
Right.
Italians with Mussolini,
The
the Russians
Jews
under
with-
Stalin,
Yeah,
Lenin,
and when
Germans.
when it did happen, everybody got fucked.
yeah.
Yes.
Because they didn't have access to defend themselves.
Yeah. They didn't have any.
All
of these leaders that did things like this had
Right.
very extremely strict gun control, and then this happened because then they were like, "There's like no resistance. Herder, this is super easy."
Right.
I think it'd be easy anyway.
Okay.
I
That's
think
the point of it. I
that's
think
a-
it would
yeah,
be
that's a-
easy anyway.
okay.
I think that's a very pessimistic view.
It's still
It
it's
sucks,
still
like-
a valid view.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Right.
so valid. I
Like-
just think it's
like
very
it sucks.
pessimistic.
I
and
just-
I
I
can't
just-
bring myself to agree with it.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right. So moving on,
Yeah.
Billy. My question is for you. Can you define the Second Amendment in your words? Every like word, every phrase in it.
A well-regulated militia,
Yes. Define that.
necessary to a free state.
If you want
the
I
right
can
of
pull-
every
I can pull it up for
citizen
you.
to bear arms shall not be infringed. That's pretty much what it is, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So, what's your definition of a well-regulated militia?
Alright, so when the Constitution was written, there were two political parties, right? The Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. The Anti-Federalists believed that there was no need for a federal army, a military, because if you had a well-regulated militia that was by state to state or county to county, however you divvied it up, they could be called together in terms of domestic or international threats. The Federalists believed that there needed to be one standing unified army or military, the federal military, in order to come together and control domestic or international disputes. So the Second Amendment was written as sort of a compromise between the two political parties, so that it would defend the anti-federalist stance on a well-regulated militia, so that if there were to be well-regulated militias on the state or county or province level, there could be, and they could form. But it also allows every citizen the right to keep and bear arms as a check against the federal army.
Interesting.
I never
I
looked
did not
at
know
it.
that,
I
yeah.
did not.
So,
look
with
at
modern day interpretation, what do you interpret it as?
Or are you a
The same thing.
Okay.
I agree.
It's the same thing. So, for modern day, we've allowed our military and our federal government to grow much past what the framers believed it should.
Yeah.
But that's been democratically.
Right.
But it still stands that if a militia wishes to form,
Would you
It
not
can.
consider like the National Guard as a militia?
it is.
So, should they be the only ones who should be allowed to have guns?
Because that's covered under the Second Amendment, that the right of a well-regulated militia has the right to be formed and kept, but also not just a militia has the right to keep and bear arms. Every citizen has the right to keep and bear arms.
Alright. And then my other question for you is, you said we have too much regulation on guns. What would you remove?
So I think background checks and mental health checks are totally fine. But I think banning certain types of guns doesn't really make sense if we're
And that
Right.
doesn't assume that assumes that someone couldn't go insane after. Like, I could be normal fine now, and then I buy a gun and be like, ooh, I want to shoot someone.
So I actually had a very similar conversation like on that exactly the other day. That like, so the most prominent age for people to develop mental issues like schizophrenia and stuff is like your early 20s. So if you can like at 18 to 21, for X amount of years afterwards, you should have to take a yearly mental exam, and then you pass, you're fine. If not, then well, you don't, and you're not allowed to have the weapons anymore.
You get your
License
carry
revoked.
right.
It's like how you take a license test. Like if you can't see anymore, you're not driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is a year enough though? Like, could you go off the deep end in 9 months?
well, you
I don't know. How long did it take? Like, how long are
could, but you-
people who go off the deep end? Like, how long does that take before you do something drastic? Usually, like, I don't know. This is
I don't think
it's not my area of expertise.
I don't think it's a switch. I think there's
I think it's a.
I think there's the last straw that broke the camel's back kind of deal.
Sure.
But
And
I
we're
think
assuming
you start to develop
we're assuming that
patterns.
these screenings would have some kind of an ability to catch the fact that there are straws being added.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I mean like I guess you'd have to like, I feel like also as a like someone that is even relatively like close to that person or like just interacting with a person, you can kind of like you can tell when they're starting to kind of go that way.
And a lot of people don't do anything about it though.
Yeah, but like that's true.
Such
I'd
as
like-
the
like
case
from-
in Parkland.
But then you're like, okay,
Like,
so
from also personal experience.
so then that's
There's people who,
yeah.
who know and they won't do anything because
like-
it's easier to ignore it.
the Parkland shooter had been reported to the police many times, and even the
Yeah.
FBI knew about him, and they knew that he had pointed weapons at people before, and nothing happened.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
So is that a
so-
government Is that a government issue? Is that a
Yeah.
screening issue, or is that a gun issue.
I honestly
That's-
don't know.
that's a
Or is
screening
that a
issue.
societal?
Because if
we
we
need to be keeping ourselves and our peers and your children. Oh, go in on that. Parenting licenses all the way. I don't care about your rights. Nah, that's a lie. I do. I care about everybody's
Yo,
rights.
Edit that out so it only says he doesn't care.
Oh my god, Billy has the editing power and he just makes everybody but Billy sound retarded.
Yeah,
Bobby's over here, herder, but our military's big.
And that's all Bobby
And that's
says.
all I say on the matter.
The military is big.
You just provide
I think
your
people
own
who practice other religions are insane.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. All right. So did we ever get to the root of George's question for Billy,
Yeah.
what he thinks of
That-
everything?
I just wanted his opinion on it.
What's your opinion on those two things?
Yeah,
George?
George.
I mean, in my opinion, I understand Billy's side, and I understand that. Yeah, I just thought, in my personal opinion, I thought that the militia would just be the National Guard and that kind of thing. But that's my
And our
opinion.
federal military.
And you think that the
army.
militias should be the only people that have the right to bear arms?
Because they're the ones who are really well trained with.
All right, so let's just get everyone in the National Guard, and then we can all have guns still.
That's fine if you go through the program of being trained properly and all that kind of
Is that,
stuff.
So
is
speaking of-
is that your main issue though? Is that because you don't need any firearm training?
I think
Well,
at max.
Interesting.
because the majority of all shootings are done with pistols.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the 2015 stats and somebody looked this up because I don't want to get fucked because of I'm just spewing wrong facts.
Oh.
But
Gun violence statistics. First article. Box. You gotta click on that one.
so if I'm not mistaken, rifles are the cause of about 250 deaths per year, and pistols are the cause of over 1,000.
Part of
And quote me on that because I want to make sure those numbers are correct.
And violent crime. I'm on the. This is the latest 2015 FBI crime in the United States webpage, FBI.gov. I am under violent crimes. Looking for tables now.
While Hunter's looking for tables, does anybody have anything to add to that?
What do you think about the Australia, what they did?
I think it's easier for Australia because they have a smaller population. It's more, it's less diverse than America.
Also, isn't they're I have no idea, but when I think Australia, I think just a couple big cities, and then the rest is desert and Aboriginal people.
It's the same in America, though.
Yeah, we got a lot of Aborigines.
True, dude.
specifically Australian Aborigines.
Yeah, we got all those Australian Aborigines.
Did you redo?
Also, do people out in the outback have guns?
No.
At all?
No, I'm
No.
pretty sure.
How do they kill game? Do they
Yeah,
not-
how
do
do
they
you
not have
survive
Do they not
when-
have hunting or
How would you ever survive in your backwood shack when
From those kangaroos?
The kangaroos and tarantulas are trying to get you.
And the
Yo,
fucking
I heard the
probably
kangaroos
lions,
are trying to
let's be
steal
honest.
jobs.
Huh?
The kangaroos are trying to steal jobs.
Dude, the dingoes?
Gerbs.
The dingoes, dude, they'll eat you.
The kangaroos are mad
You ever
because
watch
the dingoes are
Kangaroo
stealing
Jack?
their jobs.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
I
yeah,
got you.
Kangaroo
It's probably
Jack.
not even that good of a movie, but I loved it as a kid.
Dude, it was so good.
Why can't I find anything on this website? Make the FBI website better.
Put the
Great
jacket
thing.
on the kangaroo.
Expand homicide data.
With the money.
With the money. That guy did nothing after Kangaroo Jack, and now he's the star of Blackish.
True.
I was like,
So
oh look, that's the
basically-
Kangaroo Jack guy.
Basically, the whole buyback program in Australia took say all the guns that they took back roughly 660,000 guns.
That's,
Those are rookie numbers.
yeah, gotta get
Say
those numbers up.
Those up.
only say if only all those guns returned like only one. Every person only had one license. So like it wasn't just multiple people, or it wasn't just like one person with multiple guns. Just like for every person. That means that they took back roughly 2.8% of the population's guns.
And
Just with
so-
the buyback program.
what Australia does is guns are just not outright banned there. You can get different categories of licenses to have. So you can get like a license for just air rifles, 22s kind of thing, pistols. But it's harder to get the more powerful guns that it's easy for like a U.S. citizen. Like for example, the AR-15. That's almost impossible. You have to have a certain like explicit, valid reason and go through like extensive training background. A bit of fun. So like category C are like semi-auto shotguns or 22s, but the cartridges themselves are limited to 5 shots, and for a shotgun, 10 shots for the 22. So it's not like guns are banned; it's they limit how much you can fire from it.
Oh, okay. That's Australia.
Yeah, that's Australia,
Okay.
and they haven't seen a mass shooting since they had that huge strict gun control since 1996.
Interesting. So, I feel like a lot of this comes down to like training, and like people aren't trained and they don't understand guns and really how powerful they are and like what they can actually do.
Yeah, but the shooter knew that.
Yeah, that's why the shooters do it.
No,
They
I mean like
understand.
with like all these like laws, like I feel like a lot of these laws, I think it like, alright, I think if you had required training with guns, like you don't have to have one, but you have to understand what they are, what they can do, and how powerful they are.
Like for
And I
instance,
think-
like Switzerland, every single person is or every single male in Switzerland has to like go into the military for a certain number of years, and
Yeah.
they become trained, and then they get a firearm that they have to keep in
So,
their
but
house.
Billy, from your libertarian point of view, doesn't that sound like too much control? Like to force people to be trained?
Well,
Yeah, I don't think people should be forced to
not
go to the military.
not necessarily like in the military. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like fucking like I mean I know like back in the day there used to be like classes in school like or like little sessions where like you would learn about a firearm and the proper safety.
So, but it's like
And like
it's like
did you
because-
have mass
because-
shootings back then? No.
But it's like because there's like
Yeah,
some people that
there
want to own
was.
guns, like me, who doesn't give a shit. Like I have to now waste my time learning.
See, my problem with just saying,
Like, and
oh,
you're
you
gonna
just,
force me to do that?
my problem with just saying like, oh, like you just need to train everybody, and then we'll be fine. Is there are many recorded instances from the Parkland shooting where, like the security guard, the armed security guard that was in charge of protecting that building, did not go in and apprehend the shooter.
Yeah, that's called being a fucking coward, and honestly, that man should fucking die.
I
That's
mean,
aggressive.
Yeah,
he should definitely lose
If you're
his
gonna
job.
if you're gonna run away from your job,
while
from your
while
job to
children are
protect those
being
people
killed.
and run away because you don't want to die, what the fuck are you doing? Or maybe okay, he shouldn't die. That was an overstatement.
That was an
But
overstatement.
he should have very severe punishment.
On top of
I
Are
that,
you
appreciate
kidding me?
I appreciate your emotional.
I appreciate your passion on the matter
investment,
because
yeah.
I think it's ridiculous. I do. I think
That makes me
Not-
so.
not just
That's
the-
like I'm fucking triggered.
not just the security guard, there were multiple sheriff's deputies that showed up, and
4.
instead of, yeah, that's multiple.
Yeah, no,
Instead
I'm
of-
just-
instead
I'm
of
just-
going
yeah,
into
just
the
give me
building-
numbers.
I was
I
giving,
think
I was
they
just
were-
giving the number. I was just
So-
giving the number.
Instead of going into the building, they just sat at their car doors pointing their
Okay,
guns at the building.
So why were they ordered not to go in? Do we know why they didn't go in? Because I mean I don't know how
feel
trustworthy
Like
the
were
source is.
they,
I
were
don't
they,
know how
were they
they-
told to hold? Like,
Yeah.
are we just mad because they were sitting in their cars? If their captain
Yeah.
was like, "Yo, do that,"
then
like,
then
If I
that's
have
not
zero
their
issue.
fault.
If I remember correctly, they're instructed to go in.
if they were,
I heard they were instructed to not go in.
if the if
look
the
it up.
situation
Look it
was they weren't following their commands,
Regardless
that's
of that,
a problem.
I
But
think
like,
I think the problem is if we're just gonna say, oh, so in situations like this, we're gonna have everybody armed and trained with guns, so then they'll be able to apprehend a shooter. If even our own police and security officers who have guns aren't apprehending a shooter, and they're fully like their whole job is to be able to take down people like this. If they're not even taking down active shooters, then I don't trust people that have training but have no more than just standard gun training. I don't think they'll be able to take care of that situation.
See, I think that you're saying you don't trust the person when they're not trained to, but you also can't apparently trust the person when they are. So like, if a person that is trained isn't going to, what's to
No,
stop
I'm
a
saying
person that...
I'm saying if the person that is fully trained that should be able to do it, then the person that's just trained in a firearm, I don't think they're going to be able to do any better. So
Yeah,
then
but
I
the
don't
fact
see-
that they would take any action at all, like, because, so, the person that's fully trained didn't take any...
Hello, this is Hunter. I would like to thank you for listening if you have made it this far. Sorry for the sudden stop. There were some recording difficulties. Come back next week for another episode of the SmashCast.